All right. Good morning to those of you on the East Coast. A good morning also to those of you on the West Coast. I'm your host, Brandon Troy, host and co-creator of Movers and Shakers Unlimited, and I'm joined by
Jerome Bourgeois, co-creator, co-founder of Movers and Shakers Unlimited, man. Yo, how you feeling? Recovering from that long week, man. See, we got the Super Bowl.
Still recovering.
Got the Super Bowl memorabilia.
We had a late start, y'all. Like believe it or not, still recovering with all the events and things that we had an opportunity to check out, which we will get into. Still recovering from that time zone, that time difference, because I had to hop right into it, this first week back, being back at home, but, comes with the territory, right? All right. So with that being said, let's hop into some minutes as always. So first and foremost, make sure that if you are catching this episode live, that, first off, thank you for, joining us live. However, if you're catching it as an archive episode, that you can be a part of that conversation with TWnRMNSU. So that's This Week in Review, Movers and Shakers Unlimited. And additionally, just know that you can also, if you enjoy a lot of the content that we do here, that you can be a Patreon supporter in the link that you see down below. And as always, in talking about Patreon, we want to give a shout out to our Patreon supporter, Jerome Bourgeois. Shout out,
sister. I just talked to her a couple nights ago. Anyway, yeah, she loves the show. So
all right, awesome. So with that being said, guys, let's hop right into it. As I said, just last week, we were Jerome and I were in Hollywood. We were in LA checking out the Super Bowl and a lot of the festivities that happened with the Super Bowl. If you guys were keeping track of social media before, we had on Facebook, we had some exclusive interviews. We'll be sharing it over on our YouTube momentarily, probably I would say at the end, worst case scenario, probably by the end of this week. If you haven't checked it out there, we're also going to be putting it, as I said, as an encore content over on YouTube. But we did have some, events that we shared via Instagram. If you were, checking that out, whether it was on our personal ones or on the Movers Instagram. Now, Jerome, this was only my second time, doing coverage on the Super Bowl. I believe you've done it, a few more times prior to that.
Yeah, this is my, I'd say, third time. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So one more than me. All right. So, keeping that in mind, talk to me. I'm going to put up some of the cool stuff that happened over the course of the week. How was the week? I mean, most of it, we were able to go to together, but there were a couple of things that you went yourself. So, share.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm so glad I went earlier this time. I mean, I went there the Wednesday before. I'm glad you went there on Monday, because then you got to cover that brunch that I haven't covered yet. So that was good. It just shows like you really got to go there. I mean, next year I'm going to go like starting from Sunday. I'm going to be there for the whole week. So it just shows it's so packed. There's so many things to do. I enjoyed, the brunches. That one brunch we went to, that, Terry Crews was there. Actually, it was run by this Community Engagement Opportunity Council. I'll give them a shout out. That was a good event. And I'm sure they're going to have other events we can cover. But my favorite one was probably for networking and just learning information and meeting some really great people is the Bloomberg Power Players Summit. That was really great in Beverly Hills at that mansion, that residence. That was really nice. I mean, you had people like was Arthur Blank and the CEO of FanDuel and DraftKings. They had chief branding / marketing officer of the Dallas Cowboys, Jerry Jones's daughter. They had the head of UTA there.
This is the mansion, by the way.
Yeah,
guys. Share it up here.
Yeah, and we share, obviously, yeah. If you check our Instagram stories and everything. But it was just a good convergence of like you had sports, tech, people from the sports industry, tech industry, entertainment. They actually had one, I think, out of the head or one of the heads of ESPN. Yeah, yeah, that's a good shot. So yeah, that was really good. That was just a really great experience going to. It's funny because the other times I've been to the Super Bowl events, I hadn't gone to that Bloomberg event, or if they had one, I just don't remember them, or maybe I just didn't know about it. But that's definitely something I'm looking forward to for next year and other years. But also, definitely, of course, a celebrity sweat flag football game. That's always fun. We're up in Malibu for that. That was, it's always a good time. And then, of course, you have the parties. This time the Maxim party was 2 nights.
Yeah, that was a Maxim party.
Yeah, that was a good time. 50 Cent killed it that second night. But I mean, the first night I went, it was still pretty nice too. But yeah, the second night really was a good night. We got some pretty good interviews. You guys will see. If you check out Facebook, you'll see some of the people we interviewed. Got a little freestyle from this upcoming rapper. Was it Kosher Dills? Kosher Dills, something like that. But yeah, that was really good. What was another one? Yeah,
there was Kosher Dills. So yeah, I could check it out. His freestyle that he did for us on Facebook.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's. I will say though, I mean, I don't know if because this year, I mean, who knows? Because it's also obviously we're in the pandemic, so they're trying to get back to everything, being normal. I'm not sure if it seemed like that might have had an impact on, I don't know, being able to cover certain events too, because they were trying to be like, oh, limited space, who knows? Because I do remember when I went to Miami in 2010, that year was crazy, and I felt like there was more star-studded guests coming to a lot of those parties too, and that's why I always remember it like that. I'm not saying that they don't come out, but I'm wondering if it just seems like maybe they're going to more private events and more specific events as opposed to like in the most recent years. And that's kind of what I've learned. It's like you really got to try and get into some of those really exclusive events, if you want to get some of that coverage. So that's still the experience I want you to experience too, because I always remember for that. But like I said, every year there's always something different. But I feel like still there's some other events I probably missed just because, I wasn't there earlier or we just I didn't plan that. Because like I said, in 2010, there was also like this golf tournament. It was like a Playboy golf tournament I went to. There was, these other fun parties. I mean, we still haven't checked out the Sports Illustrated one or there was also this Babe.
There was a Sony one apparently too.
Yeah, that Sony one looked like it was really good. Like so I mean, the thing is, regardless, even if you get into stuff, like there's so many things to go to, like you can't even do everything regardless. Like you need a team if you're trying to get some good coverage or just to switch it up, and it's good to know people who are going to stuff so then you guys, help each other out. But I will say in the end too, I had a great time. It was good. Also just reconnecting with people and just meeting new people. I really need to go to the game. So that's something I'm also looking forward to, going to the game, because that's an experience in itself. And this year especially, oh man, I mean, whatever. I'm still appreciative that we were there in LA and everything. But man, what a Super Bowl this year! I mean, with that halftime show and in LA with LA winning, and then you had like 3 West Coast artists. I mean, to me, that was the best halftime show. So it's like I don't know how they're gonna top that, but man, what an incredible halftime show! With Eminem and Dr. Dre, 50 Cent, Kendrick Lamar, Mary J. Blige, Snoop Dogg. I mean, it's like all the stars aligned to have, to have those, nobody represents LA more than like Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg. Like they represent LA when it comes to music. I mean, I can't think of anyone else. But to have them performing, and then it's because it's in LA, and then the Rams happen to make it, and then they win. I mean, I don't know what else is a better gift to being in LA.
A better Hollywood ending. There you go.
But yeah, I mean, I if you're from LA, man, I can totally understand how you're feeling. I mean, I think they changed the Hollywood sign to represent for the Rams with it. I think that's pretty cool how they did that. So, but hey, man, it was a great time. I thought we got some good stuff. But every year I feel like you learn about like, hey, maybe we can check this, try to go to this event or go to that one. And then, like I said, I think in the end, we probably need some more people come with us because you just can't cover everything. There's just so much happening. But that's what I love about the Super Bowl. There's so much going on. You get everybody coming there. You get people in the sports industry, tech, actors, filmmakers, politicians. You get business people. You get everybody. Everybody comes to that. So it's really the best convergence, I feel like, for almost every facet of life convening because they want to see this. I mean, this number one. This is the biggest, you could say, live action event in the United States. That's also televised to the most people. I mean, it is. I mean, for sports or if you want to say sports or entertainment, like in the same category, like there's nothing bigger than Super Bowl. So, I mean, to me, it's worth going every year, and you have a great time too. So,
Indeed.
you tell me about what you thought.
So, I mean, here's the thing. The thing that's cool about LA is, I'm fortunate that I have, folks that I know that are over in LA. So, even though I feel like it was a blessing in disguise, even though, there were some events that we didn't have a chance to get to or cover, they still provided windows to, catch up with a lot of people. I know there were some folks that, you caught up with, that you went to school with. There were some folks that, over the course of, just doing what it is that we do, you get to develop, relationships with and you continue, to hang out with. So, in that way, it was cool to catch up, with, a lot of people when I'm in town to do that and have pockets of time to be able to do that. Because I want to say in a kind of the similar way that it is with San Diego Comic-Con, for example, once you're in it, you are in it, and it's not really a lot of time, I feel, or space to do much else. And while it is fun to be able to do that, sometimes, you need a break from the monotony of doing it. Not to say that, doing those events are monotony. It's not, but it's still, fun to be able to mix it up and to do, other things, as well. So, I mean, just as you said, there were some incredible events that were, available to do. Some of them we touched on. Like I said, you touched on and I shared it. What was it? The Bloomberg power players event. We had some other ones, the Maxim party, of course. You're looking at. I'll show you right now. That's what I'm sharing. Is that they had some. They had some cool. I'm brain farting on the name of the device. Drones. Thank you. Yeah, so they had the drones, creating different, designs in the sky, just like you're seeing now. So, this was just a taste of what they did, but they had other portions of that segment where they were showing like the helmets of the two teams colliding and even like the name of the party. It was pretty cool. So, I mean, you had stuff like that. You had, different, yeah. I mean, you had different. And I mean, you have different activities. Like, I mean, they had like people on stilts doing laser shows. Like, you had the Yautja. I always say the Yautja. The alien species from Predator. You had the laser show happening. You had an arcade area, which I had to show off a little bit, show those little show those basketball skills. Y'all, I know y'all sleep. Y'all know that I can ball too. So I had to show that off a little bit as well, killing it there on in the hoops as well. So check that out. I'm not gonna play the whole thing, but hey, killing it there on the hoop. No, I got to put people on notice. I got people put people on notice. I gotta put people on notice, you know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, it was that. And as I said, just spending time with a lot of people that over the course of the year, this may be the only time in the year that you may get to do that. Because, like I said, a lot of times with San Diego, that's maybe one time out of the year. There's some folks that I know that are international. They're in the UK, they're in Australia, Japan, they're in other parts of the world. So every once in a while, if there are those times that you're able to maximize, those trips of heading over to the West Coast, because I want to say maybe I might get maybe 2 or 3 out of the year, or say maybe 2 out of the year, and because of this event, we were able to notch in an additional trip there. It was great to do. So next year it'll be in Arizona. That'll be interesting because haven't been to Arizona. Technically I've been to Arizona as a layover, but physically, like hanging out in Arizona, haven't been. So that should be fun. Should be interesting. You have any other final thoughts before we hop into our next story?
So shout out Malik. Okay, yeah, sorry, am I on there? Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I just want to shout out Malik Pollard, one of our fellow DC media friends, and he was out there too. So we were hanging out, and it was it's always good to have people out there that are also doing similar stuff. So we sometimes coordinate and collaborate.
I realized I didn't even and I know you touched on it a bit. I didn't even touch on the flag football event. The fact that it was in Malibu, to be in Malibu,
wasn't that crazy?
That was insane. Shout out to those of you that go to Pepperdine. I didn't know y'all had it like that. I don't know
how you guys get any work done.
I don't either.
I feel like Pepperdine, University of Santa Barbara, and University of Miami. I don't know how they get any work done.
That campus is incredible. So, and to be right in Malibu like that, I can't imagine. So,
the only thing that sucks is the traffic from Malibu to back to LA, man. That's terrible. I forgot to bring sunscreen. Next time, man, I'm all you can see me all flaking here. Next time, you help me out, man. My list of things to do bring sunscreen. Man. I totally forgot to bring the sunscreen. I was peeling all over. I'm like, I love it, but good God, man.
We weren't expecting. We knew it would be, warm, but you didn't expect it to be that.
I totally forgot. Yeah, you just forget because we're coming from 20 degree. We come from 20, 30 degree weather, and then we go out there and it's like 70, and you're like, oh snap.
But to be fair, a lot of folks that are native to LA, they were saying that was just a weird week. It's way warmer than what it normally is. They said, oh well, normally around this time, it's 60 degrees.
It's and that's considered cold to them because it's always hotter. I remember that when I used to live in LA, they're like, yeah, it's cold, and I was like, what are you talking about? But if you do think about it, if your body's used to,
I know
it actually does feel. I mean, it doesn't feel no, they can't compare to what we're dealing with,
right?
But it's a relative change. It's a relative change where you're your body's like, why is it colder? But hey, man, I'll take that any day.
Because I have a cousin. Shout out Unc, Uncle. You know who you are out in San Diego, but I reference him as cuz, even though technically my uncle. He's been out in. I want to say he's been out in San Diego for has it been 15 years, man? I want to say it's been 15 years, and he, at that. He came from from Virginia, from Fairfax, and I mean now that he's out there, I feel like his body has gotten accustomed to West Coast where he thinks 60 degrees is cold. I'm like, dude, you're not even from you're not even from San Diego. What's wrong?
It doesn't matter, man. This trip reminded me I need to hurry up and move back to LA at least half of the year, man. So anyway, man, LA. Anyway, and also this is our 50th episode, so thanks for tuning in. Big 50. We appreciate everybody watching, and we love bringing you this content every week. So as much as we can. So big 50. Shout out to everybody for watching.
There you go. All right. So getting into our next story. There was some news that dropped this week, and I feel like it's a great segue from talking about the Super Bowl and talking about 50 Cent. News dropped this past week, exclusive from Deadline, that Curtis 50 Cent Jackson, G Unit Film and Television, they have optioned Christopher Priest's comic Zero to be developed as a live action film, potentially to be created as a franchise. Now, if you're not familiar with this character, it follows a black government assassin who weaponizes invisibility by disguising himself as a white man to blend anonymously into the exotic casino royale haunts of the international elite. It's spanning the gulf between that and the disenfranchised city streets of East St. Louis, Illinois. Train Walker is a man living in two worlds but taking ownership of neither. This story is going to confront, just the idea of moral, of his moral awakening, as well as the life and death perils that it presents. So, Jerome, you hear news of this adaptation of this character. I'm not well versed, with the character, but just based on just the initial setup of what you come to understand about that character, I feel like there's so much to mine here, but I will punt it over to you before I, share my thoughts. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I thought this was interesting, especially since 50 Cent, he's obviously now a TV mogul. I mean, he's produced films before, a whole bunch of films. I mean, just, they maybe weren't as big here. They're more, in the, I guess you could kind of say more internationally known. But it's interesting now that I feel like now he's kind of hit his stride with the types of projects he's making, at least on TV, because he's elevated stars to the point where this dude has at least I think it's like 4 or 5 shows on it. Was it Power? He had Power, then Power Book 2, Power Book 3. Now it's a new Power Book, and he had the Black Mafia family. So I mean, the guy is running that network. So it's cool to see him now get back into live action films. And what makes better sense than a film like this? What I just thought was really unique is the idea that it's it's based off of a comic book, and we haven't seen 50 Cent get into that realm yet. But if he ever was, this sounds like the perfect type of film for him to produce or develop. I'm not really well versed with this character, but it sounds like a really cool concept. I mean, the idea of being this assassin who disguises himself as a white man, and that's I said, it makes sense for the type of scenarios that an assassin would be in, to be stealth and clandestine to kill his targets, or be a hitman / assassin. But at the same time, with the racial component, I mean, it's also relevant. It's such a great metaphor, I guess you could say, or with the themes that are involved. So yeah, I'm curious to see how this would turn out. And like I said, I really commend 50 for pushing projects like this, and also just hiring a diverse pool of talent that are African American, Latino, even Asian characters. I mean, if you look at some of his shows, I mean, okay, some people might criticize, oh, it's just about gangsters or whatever, drug trade or whatever. But I mean, regardless, even if you're doing that, he puts the effort to make sure that it's pretty diverse, and also the creators too. Most of them, I think for the most part, the people he partners with, with Courtney Kemp and anyone like that, for his shows, they're people of color. So big up to 50. But I think if this is done well, and it seems like he knows now, he kind of has, like I said, he's hit his stride with the types of projects he adapts and is involved with. I think this could definitely turn out to be good. I'm assuming that, I don't know who's going to distribute it, but I'm assuming it's probably going to be Lionsgate, just because of his deal with Stars, but who knows? It could be anyone else. But also I thought that was significant since was Christopher Priest, right? He since he got the rights back. Yeah, he got the rights back from DC Comics. Warner Brothers isn't distributing these. So that's also kind of interesting, because Warner Brothers has been pretty, they've kind of monopolized pretty much everything that DC has created in the comics. So it's interesting seeing some of these characters, if the rights reverted to the creator or whatever, now being distributed by another company. Which, remember, everyone can remember with Marvel, that kind of happened. Well, it was more because they were just trying to, not go bankrupt, and they had to license some of their rights out. But it's always interesting just seeing these types of projects unfold, and I feel it's also just seeing a different type of film based off of a comic book character. Because of course, this is an assassin type of character, but with the racial component, I think you can also delve deeper into some of those themes, and it could be, like I said, it could have some good social commentary in addition to be action packed and entertaining, which I think is always great to do that. I mean, we've seen that with James Gunn and what he did with the Suicide Squad, and I know Ryan Coogler is developing that movie, Bitter Root with Regina King. So
Right.
there's more of these movies coming out, and I think this is what's gonna. I just think it's important that you see more of these types of films to balance off, like, some of the other comic book films, which also I think are great and they have elements of that, but some of the, I'm not saying all the Marvel films, but some of the Marvel films maybe they don't have as much of that, but some do, and the same with DC. So it's always good to just balance, and that's also like, when Deadpool came out, like that was it's its own, that's a totally different type of comic book film, even though we know about it, but I just like seeing the variety. And I think the more variety we have with these superhero films or based on comic book films, the more they'll keep making them and people will still be energized, and it keeps it fresh, so it doesn't become like a stale genre. And there's so many more characters and ideas and themes that can be, expressed with these different types of film adaptations that, I look forward to. So yeah, I think this could be actually pretty good. So I'll look out for it. Any thoughts? I want to hear what you
Yeah,
think.
for sure. I guess for me, like it's always great when you have stories that are delving a little deeper and going further outside the box. I mean, yeah, great. It's a superhero property. That's something that's trending and people enjoy. However, uh, uh, applause to 50 Cent for selecting a story that is not your run of the mill superhero story. Like I'm gonna check out a superhero film because I just love superhero films. It's funny, we were talking about it earlier this week, and talking about how the '89 Batman was the first film. Ironically, we unbeknownst to us,
First movie in the theater.
yeah, first
I
movie
think
I
it
ever
really
saw in the
was mine.
theater.
I know, definitely, yeah.
Yeah, it was mine. So I mean, I enjoy the genre anyway, but it's always great to get something a little different that comments on something, because I wasn't really familiar with this character, and to have that extra component of talking about something that is very, very much relevant to our day and age right now, and commenting on race and class and that type of thing, and the complexities of that. There's a great opportunity to really have a conversation about that, and to really shed a light on that, because I mean, we're in 2022, guys, and that's still a thing, whether you want to admit it or not. Like those are still things that we are facing in our day and age right now. So I feel, not only as a story, it's exciting as someone who acts as well. Like that would be a awesome, there will be some awesome characters, I feel, to be able to portray in a story like that, and to kind of sink your teeth into. So I'm super jealous of those that get involved with the project, to be able to bring those characters to life, because I feel like there's a lot to really delve into with those characters, and then even writing it as well. I mean, as we were saying, that it is adapted from a comic, but still being able to adapt it in a way of the day and age that we live in now. So as I said, there's so much to mine here, and shout out to Joseph Illich, who I didn't mention this prior, but alongside, according to the story, alongside G Unit of Film and Television, as a producer, you'll have Erica Alexander, Ben Arnon for Color Farm, and as I said, Joseph Illich, who serves as the CEO of the newly launched production and publishing company Illuminous. Now, if the name sounds familiar for those that are in the comics world, I know not that far back. I want to say a couple of years ago, I had a chance. I was fortunate to speak to Mr. Illich back when he was, with Valiant. And at that time, they were doing another comic book adaptation with Bloodshot. So he's not a stranger to getting into the movie world, so to speak. So I'm very much fascinated and interested to see what comes out of this project. Do you have any final thoughts before we move on?
You should.
Nah, go ahead.
Excuse me. You're good. I should. No. I'm just saying. I'm just looking forward to it, and like I said, it's going to depend on, I think, how it's directed, and the script and how it's produced. But I think like I said, I think 50 Cent has a good idea of like how he could probably interpret this too. Because I think he's been pretty strategic with the types of shows he's been making, and like I said, I haven't seen all the Power spinoffs, but the first one I thought was really good, and the second one I thought was pretty interesting. So I feel like they could, as long as they get the right people attached, it could definitely, be done well. And like I said, they want to turn it into a franchise, so I'm definitely looking forward to it. It'd be interesting. Also, I'd be interested to see how much they spend on this too, like what the budget is. Because if you're making a live action, film like this, 50 Cent has experience with the lower budget action movies, and we were just talking about this with Den of Thieves 2. The reason why they have a sequel is because the first one they spent about $30 million, and it did well. It made like about $80 million, I think, internationally or worldwide. So that's why you see a sequel. So I'm wondering if it's going to be in that budget range, because, if that's the case, if they can make a really good movie for around that amount, and then it does really well, like, it'll be really profitable, and then they'll be able to easily make turn it into a franchise. And if it's with Lionsgate, man, he'll definitely be solidifying, like, he's a powerhouse at that studio. So we'll just have to look out for it and see how it turns out.
For sure. All right, so hopping into the next story that we have, it's around Disney. So in a story that made the rounds this week, and this is an exclusive from out of Variety. Disney Plus has announced the films and filmmakers for Disney Studios' content second season of Launchpad. And if you're not familiar with Launchpad, it is a collection of short films. It's a program in which selects nearly 2,000 out of 2,000 applicants from underrepresented backgrounds. It selects a lineup of filmmakers, not only filmmakers, but also writers. And in doing those films, they typically base those shorts on a theme. For this upcoming season, it's going to be based on connection, that theme of connection. And it is set to debut on the streaming service in 2023. As I said, this will be season 2. Jerome, you hear this news of this program, and what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. I just have to be honest though, like, I never even heard of the first season, so I feel like they need to do a better job marketing it, because I was like, this sounds like a really good program, and I don't even remember looking on Disney Plus and seeing these shorts. I mean, they're basically saying it's gonna show up on the platform, but I feel like they haven't really marketed it that well. But I think it's a great idea, and I like how they're also dividing it up, so it's not just directors, it's also writers, and it's good to mix it up. But it seems like to me, it just sounds like a great idea for independent filmmakers, especially of color, and emerging filmmakers, to get a shot to have their work shown, and also get the experience to see how it is to make a studio film. It seems like that's the main focus too, to be like, all right, now you're getting some experience seeing how working with unions and how some of these bigger projects are are facilitated, and the inner workings of it, so that if you do make the transition, or when you make the transition to a bigger budgeted studio film, you understand the whole process. It's just with more money. So I think that's pretty cool. And you know, there's other studios, they have programs where like, you know, they have TV directing programs. I think HBO, Warner Brothers, I think Sony, like there's a bunch of those. And I think that's always great. Like they have them for writers, directors. My thing is just seeing what's the success rate. I haven't really looked into it, but I think as long as they're showing that, you know, they're actually helping these filmmakers transition into actually directing, you know, studio movies or just any type of project. If it's TV, film, I think then it's a success. I just wish that they really promoted it better because, I mean, I haven't. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I didn't hear anything about this. I didn't even know this is season 2. So I just thought it was interesting when I saw the Variety article. So I was like, hey, we should talk about it because, you know, they're giving opportunities to emerging filmmakers. But yeah, I hope they just continue with it. And for a second, actually, I thought it was like it was a competition, kind of like Project Greenlight. But it seems like, I mean, it is a competition to the point to get accepted. But it's like all the, you know, they're just more like they get to produce their shorts and then you get it showcased on the platform, and you know, people can see that. As opposed to like, you know, how Issa Rae is in charge of doing the new season of Project Greenlight, which I think is really cool too, because she's focusing on female filmmakers of color. So I just think it's always great how you have these opportunities. But like I said, just because you have these opportunities and, you know, doesn't mean that the people going through them are actually are going to have that pathway to transition to actually have a career. Like sometimes it could just be, oh, we're doing this for fun, just to show that we're trying to be good, but like it needs more depth to it. I'm not saying this one isn't, but I would like to see if they're actually, some of these filmmakers are going to actually, you know, go on and continue to be mentored and be able to have that transition to other opportunities. Because otherwise, it's like, I mean, it's a good program, but to me that's the only metric that really matters to, you know, what happens after the program, you know. And I mean, like I said, and those other ones, I know people who have transitioned on the writing side and directing side for other ones, not the Disney one, but you know, it's still a process. Like, I mean, you know, some of those programs, I've known people they've gone through several of them, and then eventually they made it through. But I just think it's great that this is another one that's available, and I look forward to seeing, you know, watching some of these shorts and seeing how they turn out. I was telling one of my buddies, I was like, hey man, you're doing a lot of shorts, you might as well submit. I mean, but yeah, I just thought it was interesting that they're doing this. So, but Disney, man, you guys got to market this better, because I did not. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I had no idea about this. If I got to know about it through Variety, I think that's bad. Yeah. They should be marketing this better. That's my only thing. You guys got to market this better, because I mean, you know, it just seems like it's just you guys don't want to let people know about it. So, anyway.
Okay, so what I'll say is this. You know, and I've commented on before in another show. In the industry, you know, if you're trying to make it in the entertainment industry, at some point, you know, don't get me wrong, you know, there are portions of it that you have to take the initiative yourself. But at some point in your career, there's going to come a time where you will have someone who will, you know, be in your corner, that will champion your project. You know, whether you're a writer, you know, they'll champion, you know, the story that you want to tell. As a director, they'll champion, you know, your abilities to be able to execute that story. As a performer, you know, they'll champion, you know, having you cast in a film, and trying to convince a studio, you know, that you are, you know, the right person for that job. At some point, you're going to have someone who will that will champion, you know, your project, or you will come into that situation where that is necessary. So to have a project like this, and to have, you know, to provide opportunities to folks that, you know, otherwise wouldn't be able to have that story told, to minorities, to any person who is in whether you're a minority, whether it's any form of, you know, the diversity, you know, that we're talking about. It's great to see, but, you know, to your point, you want to make sure that it's not just something that's just checking off a box, if you know what I mean. And it's actually something that has legs. And also commenting on what you're saying, like in order for something like this to have legs, people need to know about it. So like it's incumbent upon audiences to be able to be familiar with this project, so that way they can get behind it. Because again, in order for things to be able to carry on, people need to know about it, and people need to be able to champion behind it. So like, even when you have a film, like people complain all the time that, oh, I want to see more of these films. Well, if you want to see more of these films, I tell you what, you need to go watch them. Exactly. Like if you want to see more, films with people of color in it, like with minorities in it, like we need to support those films. Like it needs to, when it comes to Hollywood, the thing that those studios will respond to is the thing that studios are going to respond to is that bottom line. So if they know that it's going to generate revenue and it's going to generate interest with audiences, they're going to put more of it out there. So it's very it's great to have, as I said, a program like this. But to your point, we need to make sure that there is awareness of it, like we're doing now, and that it's not just something in which it feels like a box is being checked, where it actually is some follow through of, I believe we were talking about with the story with Universal, of there continues to be that follow through of whoever that artist is, being able to still continue to work with whoever that mentor is or that partner is that is established, so that way they can continue to flourish. Do you have any additional like comments before we hop into our next story?
Pretty much everything.
Hold on a second. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think you did you pretty much just added just confirmed everything I was saying. But and like I said, we've been talking about this already before. I just feel like I do like how they have a lot of these programs, because it's just great that people are thinking about this.
For sure.
But it would be interesting to see. It is interesting to see which ones. I think either if it's in I know USC does a lot of analytics on like representation for like, because they always put out a report of like how many female filmmaker directors directed the movies last year, or minority directors. And I think there was the last time I saw, I think for last year, maybe there were more female directors, but not as many women of color. So like they're really good at the getting the data and reporting it and just putting it out there. So I just really would like to see, based on all these programs, I wonder which one is the most successful, or which one has the best results. Because Lena Waithe has this problem. This program. When I say problem, she has a program. I think it's like an incubator, and I think that's a really good one, because think about it. If you move out to LA, like I can tell you this firsthand, like if you could move out to LA and you want to really focus on whatever your art is, if it's directing, writing, producing, if you're an actor, dancer, like if you can get into a program where they're paying, you don't have to worry about rent, or it's really cheap, and then you're meeting other artists, and then you can really work on your craft. Like, I mean, that cuts your expenses so much down and really decreases your expenses. So if you could do something like that for a certain amount of time while you're auditioning or you're pitching your project, that can help, astronomically. And or if you're in one of these other programs, because some of these programs, like, they'll pay, but they're, you're not getting paid that much. So I really would like to see the metrics and the results for all these programs, and which one has been the most effective, because then you can really separate who's actually has the best model and who really is way off, and like how they can see what the best practices are and just adapt. Because I feel like I feel like it's a lot of it's for show, and of course it's dependent on the artist, like how much you hustle as an artist, as a filmmaker, as whatever field, whatever craft you're developing and mastering and applying to the industry. But I mean, like you were saying too, and we were both saying, regardless of how much you put into it, there has to be somebody that's in the executive circle, or who has green light power, that has to want to look at some of these projects and actually want to develop them too and see the value in them, regardless of how much you're putting into it. Because that's been the big issue. Like, you know, uh, and I go back to Judas and the Black Messiah, which I think is so ridiculous how the whole origins behind that movie getting greenlit being so difficult. And I'm like, you had the biggest director, one of the biggest directors pushing it, and you have a great script. You have people who've done other stuff, and there was still a struggle to get that made. And it's like that just shows you how much work needs to be done. And I'm like, but they had a an executive that was championing them. That was no surprise, a woman of color. So even when you are successful, it's still a struggle. So I think that I would like to see, that's why we need to have more executives of color making these decisions and developing these projects and looking for these projects and looking for these filmmakers, and then you'll have a better pool of these projects coming in, because really a lot of times that's what it is. And I was just looking at one of my friend's podcast he's in the industry, Pete Chapman, shout out to Pete, and he had someone on there that was a development exec talking about this, how like if you're a lot of times there's nepotism in the industry, of course. I mean, almost every industry, but specifically in the entertainment industry, if like all your friends are white, whatever, and then you get an opportunity, a lot of times people, it seems like, based on her experience, she was saying how like a lot of times you're just gonna hire your friend, and and if all your friends are white or whatever, you're gonna probably hire some white. There's nothing wrong with hiring your friends, but it's like if you don't have friends that are diverse, that pool is going to be very, very limited, very small. So that has always been the issue. And it's like, I keep noticing that a lot of times people giving other people of color opportunities. Like you see like Jordan Peele, like he's doing it. He's doing it again. And I commend him. Obviously, Spike Lee, I think John Singleton did it, rest in peace. I mean, it's like if it weren't for Ryan Coogler, he pushed for Stephen Caple Jr. I mean, remember we talked to him at Fight Night. If you don't have people like this pushing for you, like it's very hard to get your projects through. So shout out to all the people doing that, but I feel like there just needs to be more. And if they can combine that with programs like this to actually get the work shown to people who have some power that could actually make it happen, then I think you'll see more results. And I just really hope that I really hope that USC or whoever's doing the analytics on a lot of the diversity improvements in the industry really measures all these programs and sees and can really show which one is actually helpful in doing something and actually efficient and affecting change in the industry, and which ones are just like a publicity stunt and maybe it's just like whatever. So that's all I'll say. But I will say I do appreciate the effort being put, but like I said, you need to see results. And if you don't see results, it's not really doing much. So that's all I'll say.
I hear you. All right. So getting into our last story today, and this is kind of correlates to what was happening during Super Bowl week. Mind you, as you guys know, we were tied up with all the things that we were doing that week. But between that week and this week, we did have a drop of just a couple of little independent movies, if you will. Some major, I joke,
independently wealthy.
Yeah, right. So major tentpole films. So what we had: Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. We had Nope. We had Jurassic World Dominion with the return of some OGs, as well as a look at a couple of the DCEU films that are on the way, whether it is Black Adam, whether it's The Flash, whether it's Batman, all of these, major releases that, will be hitting us soon over the course of the year and heading into, we'll see, maybe some of them may head into next year depending on how things go. You never know, but at least for right now, many of them will. So Jerome, we had all these major trailers drop. What are your thoughts of what you saw of these major releases?
Well, I think the biggest surprise or whatever. I mean, you guys should have seen the trailer. I mean, don't. I'm not giving any spoilers. How is Marvel incorporating the multiverse? I mean, we saw and heard. I mean, you saw a tidbit of the back of his head, but you heard his voice. I mean, obviously, Patrick Stewart's in it as Professor X. So I don't know. They're gearing up for the Illuminati, or maybe they're really saying, "Hey, we're going to introduce the other X-Men." I don't know. I mean, we'll have to watch the movie and see what happens. But I hope they're not bringing all the characters back from the Fox movies. But I mean, some of them I think are just born to play the parts. I mean, come on, Patrick Stewart is Professor X, regardless. And I don't know. I saw that some people online were showing that there was you could see like Deadpool in there too. So hey, maybe he's gonna be in there. I think that'd be great. I mean, Ryan Reynolds is perfect. He could stay as Deadpool. And I think someone else online was looking at the frames and they saw the Captain Carter shield. So it's like, from the What If episode. So I mean, I just think it's cool how they're gonna, they're Disney's going all out with that. But like I said, I hope it doesn't mean they're gonna bring all the characters back from X-Men, because I would like to see a newer version, and that separates, the Disney version versus all the Fox characters, but maybe keep some of them. I mean, because that basically there's a way to do it where it's like kind of like the Netflix shows. Because I mean, obviously they brought some characters back for the shows and then Spider-Man No Way Home, which you should know already because that movie's been out now for a couple months. So, but yeah, I thought that. I mean, I'm excited to see that. It was supposed to come out this spring, but it kept pushing it back, so it's in May. But hey, whatever, I could wait. We didn't get that much of the DC movies, but still, it looks cool. I mean, we're getting some. They showed some clips of was it Black Adam and Flash, and what was the other one? Aquaman 2, and what was the other one? And the Batman. Batman is like the same stuff, but I'm surprised they didn't show anything. I thought the Shazam sequel was coming out this year, so maybe that's getting pushed back. I don't know. For some reason, I thought that was coming out this year. So
double check. I want to say that got pushed back.
Yeah,
but go ahead.
I guess so. Yeah, I must have, because I was like, they're not showing anything. Yeah, but the thing is, that DC little trailer, I mean, that was just a little montage. I mean, that didn't really.
Yeah,
I mean, it gives you some. It wasn't a real trailer, so it's like whatever. But I mean, it's better than nothing. I will say, for like, we've talked about this before. I'm not the biggest fan of all these sequels to Jurassic Park, but I will say this one I think looks like it could actually be pretty good, because at least they've progressed the story now, where it's like dinosaurs. I guess they're running rampant, and it's cool how they're bringing the OGs back. So I'll give this one a chance. I just hope it's the last one. Please, no more after that. But no, I think this story is they're not just recycling some of the older stories. So it'd be interesting to see how this goes. The other stuff, I mean, they showed a little tidbit of Moon Knight. I mean, whatever. I'm just waiting. So there wasn't really that much different stuff, but it's something. That new Lord of the Rings show, I'm not like the biggest. I guess it's a money grab. I don't know. I feel like they need to stop making those anything about that, because they've already done the movies and they're fine. And I don't even think Peter Jackson's involved in that Amazon show, but whatever. We'll see how that does. And what's another one that they showed? There was, it was Ambulance. Of course, I'm gonna look out for that. That looks pretty good. It's coming up. And what's another one they had? Was there one other? Nope. Oh yeah, Nope. I'm looking forward to that. I mean, it'd be interesting to see. I really want to know what that's about. I mean, I just love how they're keeping it a secret, of course, Jordan Peele. But it seems like obviously there's some influence of like Close Encounters, and there's I don't know, maybe even a little bit of War of the Worlds, but also as a horror film. And I don't know. I just love how Jordan Peele. I love how, like, in the trailer and just in general, it seems like Jordan Peele, he's really good at bringing in he'll mix, like, he's really good at bringing in social commentary into the film as, like, in the background, or just and some factual or historical facts about people, of Black history that probably people didn't know. Like, I thought that was interesting in the trailer. They're like, the first frame, like, I didn't know that the first frame was a Black man with a horse, moving, like stuff like that. It's very subtle, but it works though, because you're like, oh, this is cool. And then it's like, you see where the setting is. It's at a ranch, and then it's like, then you get into the whole suspenseful, thrilling part. And like I said, I still don't know what it's about, but it looks good. It looks cool. I do hope it's better than Us. I thought Us was pretty good, but yeah. But obviously, Get Out, that's his best movie so far. I mean, in my opinion. But no, I'm excited, and this is what I love. I love people like he's one of the last. We were having this argument. I have this argument all day long. To me, he's one of the few people who actually is doing something different and original, and he's making it entertaining. And there's commentary. Like I feel like a lot of people just they don't even care, or for whatever reason. But it works also because I don't think the budgets for his films they're not ridiculous. Like there's a good chance, it could be profitable, and that's what you got to do, filmmakers. Stop trying to make an expensive movie that's original and hope it does well. It's going to be hard to make your money back. Learn from Jordan Peele. Only Christopher Nolan could do that because he's already proven himself. I feel like he's the only one. I feel like Jordan Peele is on his way. I feel like Jordan Peele is on his way to be at that level, but whatever.
Yeah.
That's why I look up to those guys. But anyway, I'm excited to see pretty much all those movies. So you tell me what you think.
Just to go down the line of the releases that we have there. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. I mean, you pretty much, shared everything. There's so much speculation, I feel, of who the Illuminati is going to be and who the members are, that I feel like is superseding the actual story. People speculating who it is. I mean, there are so many theories out there, whether it's, the closest one, obviously, which they kind of already hint at, is like you said, with Charles Xavier. However, there's potential for some other characters to pop up. I mean, we have Mordo, who they also reveal like that. That's not a secret. They flat out put him in, and they show his face. He's in the film. But we may get cameos from some other characters. I know it's been speculated about Deadpool. It's been going back and forth. He is in it. He isn't in it. We'll see. I know that they had done some reshoots, and there were some characters that originally weren't in the cut of the film that they have since added to the film in their reshoot. So we'll see. It's still up to speculation at this point. With Nope, just like you said, of having a horror film, with Jordan Peele that, is more than just a film to frighten you, but, comments, has something to say, and some commentary to touch on is, always something to look forward to. Again, going deeper, as I mentioned before when we were talking about Zero, of, dealing with the trope that a lot of people enjoy, but, introducing some other elements that, is beyond the superficial and goes far deeper into the commentary of things that we deal with in our society. And I feel like he is a great marketer when it comes to the title of his films too, of using a lot of the vernacular that people use, of just the idea of nope. You look at those horror movies and you have those movies where you have characters do dumb things, of walking into places that seem really suspect, and of course they get killed because they make dumb decisions. And you're talking about you hear weird things happen, you're like, yep. Nah, if that was me, nope. You hear that noise, nope. You see that, nope. Like it's something that is a part of the vernacular that you have when you're watching a horror movie. Same thing with Get Out. Like, nah, bro, I need to get out of here. I need to get out. I
wonder if those were the other options for the title. Nah, bro.
Nah, bro.
Maybe that's a sequel.
That would have been a good one too. Nah, bro.
Nah, bro.
Okay, but no, like he needs to get his props on selecting the titles, because he has some nice titles that really grab your attention. And then the same thing with Jurassic World. I'm going to say something unpopular. And, when I shared it with you, and I shared it with, another friend of mine, of talking about, the recent trilogy. I, growing up at one point in my life, I thought that I was going to be a paleontologist because I was that obsessed with dinosaurs. Like, and Jurassic Park hit at a right time for me. I think I was like 7 or 8. And, I was like obsessed with that film because, again, at that time I was going through that phase of, believing that I was going to be a paleontologist. And then I realized, I developed, other interests as well. And, I got out of that phase. But, in thinking of this recent trilogy with Jurassic World, it was great to be able to revisit that and relive, that. I mean, I know a lot of people say it is a a remix of the first film, and I get that, and I get those arguments. But still, at the end of the day, it was great to, after all that time between the end of the third film of the original trilogy and getting into this new trilogy. It was great to revisit, some of those characters of, wondering what were they up to. We had the scientist who was, in the original film, when you had the hatching of that raptor, and what has he been up to all this time, and now he's like the pseudo like villain of the franchise now, in many ways in terms of how they're portraying it, and it's awesome that we have a lot of those original OGs coming back. But I will agree with you with this, Jerome. One thing that I'm glad to see is that up to this installment, there's always been it felt like that tiptoe of, are they going to finally cross that threshold of finally just having the dinosaurs let loose, or are they going to continue to kind of tiptoe around it and continue to have them on an island or continue to have them in a park? Like, finally, we have a story now where what was introduced in the very first Jurassic Park film and the scenario that was introduced to us in the very first Jurassic Park film, we're finally getting after 6 installments. But allegedly, this is the final one. So, hopefully they pull no punches.
I hope it is.
So that's what is being promoted as. So we'll see. But
let's make a Jurassic World TV show. Watch them do that.
Right. But with that being said, this is going to wrap up this episode of This Week in Review. I'll put
the DC. What about the DC films?
Yes, the DC films. Talk about that. So real quick on the DC films. I'm looking forward to each of these films. We did with Black Adam, we had a chance to look at Atom Smasher and Dr. Fate and Hawkman. So I'll be interested to see what they do with that film, of how they correlate it with the DCEU as it stands now, because I feel like it's a jumbled mess right now. We had Peacemaker, and I'm not going to spoil what happens at the end of Peacemaker.
Best show, man, on HBO, bro.
But
right now,
yeah, like it'll be interesting because you have all of these elements, and you have the Keaton Batman who's making a return in the Flash, and he's supposed to be popping up in
Supergirl,
I believe.
One saying Batgirl,
Supergirl, and I mean you also you have this separate Batman movie that's in another universe. So they have all of these things going, and it's like, okay, and obviously it doesn't have to be all connected. I'm not saying that, but it just seems like there all of these different things happening, and it doesn't seem like there is a plan behind it. So like it'll be interesting to see how it all comes together, the DCEU, of what remains of it now and how it continues. And then, the additional releases. So, still looking forward to it. As I mentioned before, my first film was a superhero film, so I'm going to check them out regardless. And, make my decision after seeing the film of how I feel about it. So, but yes, that will wrap up this episode of This Week in Review. I'll punt it over to you, Jerome. I do have a couple of announcements, but I'll send it over to you first. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, what's it gonna say? Yeah, thanks for checking us out. I mean, you can always find me on Twitter, Instagram at right down there, JW Bourgeois 21. You can also find us on Instagram at Movers Shakers Unlimited, if you want to check that out. Also, we're on Twitter and Facebook at Move and Shake UNLTD. That's Move and Shake UNLTD. And if you want to support us on Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/Movers Shakers Unlimited. Also, please subscribe, check us out on YouTube. We're youtube.com/Movers Shakers Unlimited. Click the bell, you get the feed. Tell your friends, family, and also, like I said, comment on what we're talking about, and let us know what you want us to talk about or share, or events that you want us to cover, because we love covering these events and sharing the information with you guys and giving you that behind the scenes look. There's still some other fun events coming up. I'm sure Brandon, he'll tell you more about it. And also, you might see me at something too. I might just, have to share with you guys. But yeah, thanks for tuning in on our 50th episode. And we love to bring more of this content to you guys. So I'll pass it back to you now.
All
Brandon.
right, cool. So again, shout out to my fellow co-creator Jerome Bourgeois for hopping on and doing this episode of This Week in Review. Once again, I'm your host, Brandon Troy, host and co-creator of Movers and Shakers Unlimited. Now, announcements. Just wanted to give you guys a heads up that we do have a couple of shows for the upcoming con that will be hitting next week, and that's none other than Farpoint. We will have Sharon from Farpoint to talk about, the show, as well as Robert Greenberger to chat with us a little later this afternoon. So that will be at 3 and 4 o'clock, respectively, Eastern Standard Time today. So that's 12 o'clock and 1 o'clock, respectively, Pacific Standard Time. And then additionally, tomorrow we'll have Ben Penrod on to talk about Alaska Comic-Con, which is also is actually kicking off this weekend in Alaska. So, he'll be on the show with us on Sunday to chat about that. So make sure that you are keeping on with us tomorrow. We'll be able, today and tomorrow, I should say, and those interviews will be posted live on Facebook for you guys to join the conversation of. But of course, I will be sending over the encore content over to YouTube. All right, so there you guys have it. Once again, host Brandon Troy, host and co-creator of Movers and Shakers Unlimited. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be safe out there, and see you soon. Peace.
Peace out.
Deuces.